So quite a few people on the survey asked about finding out how to use Google Classroom, that they don't have any experience with it or that it's something that they need to know. So this tutorial is going to take you through just the basics of Google Classroom. So when you go to your Drive, if you click on the waffle, you can find the app for Google Classroom. It looks like a chalkboard with a person on it. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the Google Classroom page. Now yours will probably look different if you've never used it before. You'll see things here, but what you'll notice is that the plus sign will still be there. And if you're creating your first class or creating another class, that's where you're going to want to start. So if you click on the plus sign, you either get a chance to join a class or create a class. Since you're all teachers, you definitely want to create a class. So we're going to go ahead and do it. You want to name your class. If you want to add a section, you can. It's optional, and then subject is optional as well. Once you're done with that, you create the class. Once Google's done thinking, it'll bring you to the classroom. There are three main components of the classroom that you need to know about. There is the stream, the student section, and the about section. We're going to start with the about section first. This is the main information where you would enter just general materials or websites or things that the students may need to access on a regular basis. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I just want to highlight a couple components. Here is your class drive folder. Google creates an automatic drive folder in your drive where all of the things from this class will be stored. This is a quick link to access it. As students enter, they'll each get their own drive folder within the class. This is the calendar. If you use Google Calendar, this automatically populates any assignments or due dates or things that you create in the classroom on that calendar. It's not a second step that you need to do. If you have a co-teacher in your room, here is where you can invite the co-teacher to join your classroom. Now let's look at the student tab. So the student tab is where you can invite students. And you can do this several ways. You can do a roster sync, or the easiest way is just to have the students come, click on the plus sign like we did at the beginning, and click join class. And you can display your class code on your whiteboard, and they simply type in this code and then it automatically populates. The nice thing about Google Classroom is that you can invite parents so that they have access to the classroom, and you can set up email summaries. We're not going to go into too much about that right now because this is just a brief overview. So once you have students in your classroom, you're going to want to assign some kind of work. So the way you assign work is through the plus sign down here at the bottom. If you hover over it, you notice that you get the pop-ups for different things. You can create an announcement, which would be a message. It can be an assignment. It can be anything you want it to be. There just isn't a lot of functionality in attachments and things like that with the announcement. An assignment has all of the functionalities. You can assign a document or a video to individual students. You can assign it to multiple students. You can assign it to the whole class. And you can they can each get their own individual copy, those kinds of things. You can create a question for a quick formative assessment or a summative assessment or a ticket out the door. And if you have multiple classes and you posted an assignment in one class and you want to use it in a different class, you can use the reuse post. It'll show you all the assignments you've done and you can find the one you want to do. Organizing the classroom takes a little thought. I highly recommend that you number your assignments and that you use the topics. The topics would be like your units of study. So you just click there, add, type it, and then all the files or assignments that you create can sort into this topic automatically for students. The stream can be very overwhelming, and I'll show you that in a minute in one of my live classes. Once there are a lot of assignments in there, that's why adding topics and numbering your assignments are crucial to making your success. So we're going to create a fake assignment here in my test class. So once you create an assignment, for which period do you want the assignment? Do you want it for all the students in the class? If I actually had students in this class, you would see their names listed and you can just target specific students. So you could assign different assignments to different students to differentiate your work. what is the assignment titled. If you want to type directions, you can here, and I highly recommend that you type directions because typing directions allows for absent students to know exactly what to do without you having to take additional time. This is the due date. When it's due, the calendar comes up, and again, when you pick the calendar item, this is how it populates it automatically on the Google Calendar. So you don't have to do another step. You pick the due date, it automatically goes to the Google Calendar for that classroom. And this is where you would pick a topic. If you don't already have the topic created, you can create it here so that it's under that. If you want to attach a file from your school district desktop or your school documents file, you would click here. If it's from your drive, click here. If it's a YouTube video, here. And if it's another link to a website, here. So I'm just going to pick some random assignment from my drive. I'm going to go back to that Oedipus test that I used in a previous video. Once I add it, this is how you can decide. Do you want the student to just see what you have there? Maybe you're assigning a reading passage or something like that that they don't need to interact with. They just need to be able to read. So you want them to view it. But if you toggle down, they can edit. When you do, the students can edit the file. Remember, this makes it a collaborative document. All students in the class would be working on one file collaboratively. Okay? And then finally, make a copy for each student. This gives every student their own copy of the assignment to complete and submit to you individually with no copier, no paper, no anything. It's like the forced copy, if you know what I'm talking about, with downloading a Google Doc. So once you choose whichever one you want, you can assign it immediately, or you can schedule it for a later time. What day or time do you want it to pop up in the stream? If you're a planner and you like to plan ahead, I have a month's worth of stuff scheduled. You can go back in and edit it if your plans change, but it keeps the stream from being overwhelming to students. So schedule a day and time for it to pop up and show up, and then you just click schedule. For items that are scheduled, they'll be up here in your saved posts until they actually populate and show up for students. That is a very brief and quick overview of Google Classroom. I'm just going to take you back and show you in a live class. Once you have a lot of assignments in there, the stream keeps them all until you delete them, and that's what I meant, that it can be overwhelming. If a student was absent and they need to find a back assignment, scrolling through the stream can feel overwhelming to the student, which is why I recommend that you find very specific topics and number your assignments. If you notice, this was assignment 4, this quiz was 4A, and then it goes on within the novel study. All right, I hope that gives you some good ideas and just a very brief overview of Google Classroom. You can follow us at growyourteaching.com, tweet at Dr. Goddard, or email at growyourteaching@gmail.com.